I love that article you sent me. It said like Joe Biden touching the world.
Joe Biden
yeah, we're on Skype. What's it?
I'm gonna get a beer.
Okay, perfect. I'm in 7-Eleven, getting water and yogurt. I'm getting Maddie some yogurt, and I'm gonna walk and get some croissants while we're chatting. But yeah, we should definitely talk about the podcast. Hello? John, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, I got you. I can hear you. The door just slams. You're leaving your love chamber.
I am leaving my Pizzagate room. Pizza chamber.
So you got a beer?
Yeah, I got a beer. I got a beer.
Okay, so you got a beer. I got yogurt. This is perfect. So Julian Assange, yeah, the guy looked homeless. The guy looked like a wreck. I don't know much about the guy, to be honest. I just know he was like the WikiLeaks source. Yeah.
Yeah, he started WikiLeaks. He was allegedly a rapist, but he's almost certainly not. That was like, okay, so like WikiLeaks was a publishing company that started out basically saying they would publish virtually anything. I think that they did try to filter it so that people wouldn't get hurt, like they wouldn't publish the names of spies who would just get executed on the spot if their name was put out there. But yeah, they got famous for putting out footage of U.S. troops just mowing down journalists from a helicopter during the Iraq War. And
Right. Well, it started off with like good intentions, right? Like the whole thing was like, let's get everything out there to the public at an open journalist standpoint. But I think eventually it evolved into like more of a publication. Like I saw like more journalists and more people that publish in like big name news outlets refer to this thing, and it seemed like just the name WikiLeaks itself would affect the conversation. Like if you brought up WikiLeaks in one of those dialogues you see on like Fox News or CNN, it would trigger people immediately.
yeah, I mean, like, I think they always have good intentions. I think they have good intentions now. I think they definitely take a side as far as, what they're trying to push. But what they're trying to push is to expose government corruption. Like, allegedly, the reason that Ecuador finally decided to kick the white wizard out was because WikiLeaks was talking about um, some scandal that the current president is involved in. So there's also the thing about him skateboarding and throwing feces on the walls.
Right. Yeah, I heard he had like at one point gotten a soccer ball and he was just like kicking it around and kept kicking it against a wall and it kept annoying the people in Ecuador. I think eventually they just got fed up with this asshole. They were just like, all right, what was it, 8 years, John? It was a long fucking time that this guy was in there.
I think it was 7 or 8 years, and I think that would wears on any person, but I don't know, kicking a soccer ball against the wall, I kind of see where they're coming from.
For me, it's the feces throwing. Like the soccer ball, I get. It's kind of like a meditative thing. I don't know, it'd probably be annoying. The skateboarding, just like shredding it up, Tony Hawk style, inside some embassy. It sounds kind of crazy, but throwing feces, I don't even know where you get to that boredom point. I guess after 8 years, it's just like, what do I do now? Like, what can I do? I don't have an Xbox.
I'm surprised that you, as an artist, haven't experimented. I mean, for years, it's like that's a medium that comes from my body that I feel expressive with, it's natural
Well,
for me to do it.
absolutely. See, I build sculptures out of it. And there's definitely a difference. You know, Julian Assange is just without purpose chucking this stuff against the wall. And did you see that guy? Like, it didn't even look like him.
I don't
He
know if it
just.
was him.
I
I mean,
don't either. Other than I heard him shouting something about like rise up. Did you see the video clip of him? He's like handcuffed and he's like rise up, we will rise or something, like chanting some mantra. Uh,
yeah, I don't
you
know.
might be right. He might be just like some Buddhist monk.
Yeah,
So what do you got?
he could be a changeling. He could be a robot. I think that Pamela Anderson probably killed him with a poisoned vegan sandwich. Um, back in 2015, she visited him. They've been close, but she's well immersed into the Kabbalistic Hollywood society of MK Ultra assassins.
Well,
So
that's a mouthful. It wouldn't surprise me though. He used to be quite quite the looker. Like even when I see old pictures of him, man, I'd be like, man, the guy. Kapun Kap, thank you. I just got my yogurt and I got some vitamin C. I've been kind of sick here lately. But yeah, I just think the guy when he first started was kind of a stud and he was kind of a maverick. I would put him like up there with like Snowden and stuff. You know, he was kind of like the secret guy. He seemed kind of private, and yet he was doing these big things for the world, kind of sacrificial in a way. Do you get
yeah,
that vibe at all?
for sure. I mean, I still think Julian Assange is awesome. I still think he's never really done anything in my mind. I don't agree with all of his opinions about what the solution to the world's problems are, but as far as publishing things about shady governments doing shady things, like yeah, we need a lot more of that. Um, I just don't think that we should trust what is obviously either a changeling or a robot who is placed there by the post-Christian order. But
It
I mean,
looks
we'll
like
see. Hopefully, he gets extradited to America, and we can run some tests on him. Yeah, I don't have any problem with what he's done. I mean, what do
what
you
do
think
you
he's
think?
wrong?
Well, I guess I'm curious what you know more about the subject than I do. I'm sure you've researched more, but what do you think the American people, or even on a bigger scale, what do you think the world is going to view Julian Assange as ultimately? Like, do you think
Well,
he's going to be a sort of like a martyr type in the future, or do you think he's kind of seen as a joke? I mean, I guess I'm just saying. I think to me, it seems like his image has kind of faded a little bit
no, I
from
mean,
when I
well,
first heard about him.
here's the thing: is like he started out like if you follow the history of Assange, you actually follow the strange evolution of the American left because the left used to love Julian Assange, like when he was exposing all the corruption
Did they
and
really?
oh yeah, like during the Iraq War when he exposed that video I mentioned before of the journalist being gunned down in Iraq, and there was
Right.
another famous one. Um, I can't remember what it is, but they were like that was the anti-war movement. The left has always been anti-war. Now they're kind of like pro-war, which is interesting. But anyway, but they fell out. They decided to turn on him when he published John Podesta's emails, which were, showed a lot of things, as we all know, that apparently Podesta is a big fan of pizza, talks about pizza a lot, likes to have toddlers sucking his nose at all hours of the night and the day, and of somewhat less importance that uh, the DNC was colluding with what's her name, Donna Brazil, um, leaking questions, and which she got fired for. So he messed up Hillary Clinton's campaign, and then they connected him to Russia, which might be legit. I don't know if he's worked with Russians. I really have no idea. I'm not going to say I've never seen any proof of it, but I'm not going to say no. There's also the whole Seth Rich thing, which he kind of
Well,
gas on that
well,
fire.
sorry, one sec. So you think he's lost his clout with the left,
Oh
and
yeah,
and then how about the right? I've seen some videos where Trump has praised WikiLeaks, obviously because of the Hillary Clinton email leaks, correct?
yeah. Well, he said he loved WikiLeaks during the election, but then
Right,
once,
right.
but then once he was caught, he's like, I don't know what WikiLeaks is. Like, what's WikiLeaks?
He backpedaled.
Yeah, he definitely hit the gas or hit the brake on that one.
Oh my god.
So I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out because we want him, as in the U.S. government wants him. Like, so the right is a lot of the right is kind of split because they love him for exposing corruptions and especially about like the DNC, but at the same time, a lot of kind of your more traditional conservatives see him as a spy basically because he has published stuff that's been detrimental to all the neocons, the people we usually call neocons, the war hawks who like war, who like starting wars in the Middle East that make no sense. They think like, oh, this guy is messing up our grand agenda. So the right's kind of split. In fact, like most of the mainstream of the right, I would say, is against Assange, but
Well,
kind of
yeah.
the
I
more
mean,
grassroots people are down with
couple
him.
cop. I mean, the split definitely doesn't surprise me because I think the sensitivity of the stuff being released. And I think transparency. We could talk about transparency for a minute. Like, don't you think, John, that transparency is important? But there is a certain line. Like, for example, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, right? But I wouldn't necessarily want my students to know that I go drink beer on the weekends. So I wouldn't, like I don't necessarily think it would be a good idea if they were aware of all of my activities. So I think transparency is important, don't you? But there's like, what do you think about that? Do you think there should be a line or there shouldn't be a line?
I don't know what you think you know about me, and if you think this is a clever way to threaten me, but I have all kinds of defenses. I know stuff about you,
Mm.
so
This
I
is a
was like,
tactic. I'm trying to let you know that I have dirt on you, John.
yeah, okay, Will, like that's
My real name, yeah.
your real name. I'm sorry.
um,
I have a hard time getting my words out. I'm actually terrified. I'm shaking. Please don't do anything. I
I
was
won't
laughing
for a
because
fee.
I think you and I know a teacher who feels that he doesn't
Oh,
not only mind
I
knowing his
know. I
students get drunk, but he
say
likes
no
to
more.
share, participate, extracurricular. There, those people exist.
Mm.
Um, um, I don't. Yeah, transparency. Like there has to be some uh, ability for the government to classify things, to hide secrets. Like I said before, like you can't name your spies. That's just an obvious one. You can't publish your nuclear weapons plans. You know, you have to keep national secrets. But at the same time, should American citizens know that their soldiers in the Middle East are gunning down journalists? Yeah, absolutely. Like, so that's the thing that, if you look at WikiLeaks records, like I said, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would need to learn, but I don't know if there's a time that they've published things like how, people say that WikiLeaks published things that are detrimental to the United States plans of, military plans, especially. I don't know what that is. I don't know what those specific examples are. I know lots of times that they've published things showing American troops and American politicians doing horrible, shady things. I definitely want to know about that. So there is like transparency is important, but also secrecy is important when it comes to things like our military plans, even our trading plans. So there's a balance, and we always have to figure that out as we go. Right now, it's obviously way too opaque. There's obviously way too much classification going on. It started with the ritualistic killing of the king, as was codenamed the murder of John F. Kennedy in the occult temple, which is esoterically named Dealey Park, but I'm sorry, but esoterically is a shrine to Moloch. Um, there was a magic bullet. It was forged by Illuminati mystics uh,
Oh my God.
using
So
the
before
Philosopher's
before
Stone.
before you go any further, um, WikiLeaks. So WikiLeaks. Um, I've got to say this. I'm interested in your golden bullet and the murdering of the king and everything. Definitely, but um, when it comes to transparency, I I just need to know who the gatekeeper is. And it seems like with WikiLeaks, they are a bit of an orator. They are a bit of a gatekeeper, and so this private institution has somehow become our uh, our wall, I guess, in protection of what's being released and what's not. Don't you think people in WikiLeaks can have an agenda? Like, don't you think the people behind there have a certain bias, and they could say like, all right, let's release this information on Trump, or let's not. Um,
Oh yeah.
that's to me that's so dangerous. I guess it's just it scares me to think. I mean, these are living human beings. I mean, it's not just Julian Assange. I'm sure there's a team of people that work together on this project. Sorry, I'm eating a
Oh,
BLT sandwich. I'm sure these people work together on this project, and doesn't it seem kind of strange that these people get to decide what gets shared to the public and what doesn't?
well, first of all, definitely there's a team of WikiLeaks. It's not just Julian Assange. And yeah, definitely they have an agenda. Their agenda is to expose corruption. Um, and you're rightfully suggesting that they could decide to be selective with what they expose. Like, you know, maybe in the 2016 election, they decided, all right, we'd rather have Trump for president than Hillary, so we're gonna get into John Podesta's emails and release, the fact that some of Hillary's friends claim to have sacrificed chicken to Moloch in their backyard.
Right.
Um, look it up. Um, but
Look it up.
yeah, look it up. Um, and sort of a weak defense of that is to say that, like, if you look through WikiLeaks's publications, they've criticized Trump. They're definitely not a fan of his. He's continuing to. They're anti-war in almost all instances, and Trump has not started any new wars, but he's also um, backed a lot of wars. He's still got troops in Syria. He's backing Saudi Arabia as they commit atrocious, like the worst human rights violations in Yemen, in the world at the moment. Um, so they do criticize him. They don't go easy on him. But that, like I said, that's kind of weak because it's like, all right, let's go back to the 2016 election thing. Did WikiLeaks decide that they wanted to help one candidate and not another? And should they not have that power? So it's an interesting question because it's like, this is what journalists are supposed to do. In like an ideal world, we have journalists
Open.
who are competent and tenacious enough and honest enough to go after all the corruption and expose it all equally. Um, so like, let's compare WikiLeaks to uh, CNN, why not, or MSNBC or
Oh
anyone else.
God.
And
Well, they're
they're
the most
supposed to.
biased things you're gonna get, information-wise. Yeah, but they're
Well,
in your face about it.
right. And they're the most popular. Like, that's kind of why I picked. So, like, even setting the bias aside, that's where most people get their news. Or take Fox News, right? So, um, but let's just talk, since there's a clear divide there, let's just talk about CNN and MSNBC. For the example I had in mind, like right now, Joe Biden just announced his candidacy, and he was talking about Charlottesville and about
That
how
slimy mofo.
Did you notice how Sleepy Joe rhymes with Creepy Joe? I don't know if you.
Oh my God! Has Trump not picked that up yet? He really
He
needs to pick that up.
he
I think
called him
he's sitting
Sleepy
on it.
Joe. He's preparing the soil, you know.
Right. He's mulling. He's tending. Actually, I don't have anything for that. Okay.
He's prepping the canvas. Yeah. So
That's a term
anyway,
I can get on board with. Sorry. So Joe Biden just announced his presidency, right?
yeah, and he mentions Charlottesville, and so he mentions the very fine people comment, where after Charlottesville, Trump said there are very fine people on both sides,
Yes.
and everyone thinks that, oh my gosh, that's what a horrible thing to say. You're calling Nazis and white supremacists uh, very fine people, but what all these networks don't show you, like never show you, is that Trump about 30 seconds later said, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists. They need to be condemned completely. So we have this kind of journalism. We have got like this kind of completely partisan journalism, which will say Trump is calling neo-Nazis very fine people, while 30 seconds later he specifically says, I'm not. And then you have this other kind of journalism, which WikiLeaks is doing, and you can also kind of put into this camp like a lot of other independent sites, like I would say Zero Hedge kind of falls into this camp. They kind of take shots at both sides. There's like a lot of smaller independent like YouTubers and things like that who kind of take shots at both sides.
Ice latte, takeaway. John.
And so I don't know, like your question as far as like, isn't it scary to like think about? I mean, you're right. It's messed up that our information comes through the pipelines that it comes through, and that those can be turned on and off and can be filtered at will. But on also like in terms of looking at the grand scheme of things, looking at the broad spectrum of history, like we have more access now than we've ever had before. Like, but prior to this point, maybe it was even better when like everyone got their news through local papers. I don't know. I'm kind of making that up. But like before then, it was like, you know, there was like one publisher. Well, now I'm kind of going in circles in my head. Sorry,
Well,
because
no. I know what you're saying, but no, you're making a good point. I guess
we
what I
get
would
way more
what
information.
I guess what I would add or not add is I guess like to kind of encapsulate what you're saying is like we've got our left wing with CNN, and they're definitely more left leaning bias, and you've got your right wing with Fox News, who's more right wing. I mean, this is just America, right? I mean, you got to think about every country has probably their own version of this or multiple versions of this, but then it might be nice to have this third, and correct me if I'm wrong if this is not what you're saying, but it might be nice to have a third party who's as unbiased as it gets. I guess my only concern though is with this whole freaking WikiLeaks thing. And actually, since the election and since Hillary Clinton, I haven't even really heard too much about WikiLeaks doing anything. And I'm sure a lot of the more conspiratorial people and the people that really pay attention to politics and stuff could pull out more. You could probably pull out more instances that it's been used in the last five years or so. But I guess I don't know who WikiLeaks is. I don't know who those people are, and it just kind of scares me that someone could release information about an individual that could be detrimental. If John, if you wanted to be a teacher in Thailand and they release some pictures that I may or may not have of you, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You
they
can do anything with
ultimately.
Photoshop these days, and I have a
That's what
face
you tell
that's
them anyway.
a lot of people
You,
say like, "Oh, you look like someone I know." So I've got a
right,
beard,
right.
a lot with
Well, and
beards.
the picture is grainy. The one I'm talking about, the one from Cosmic Pizza. You remember that night?
That's not a real place.
Oh yeah.
I don't like
But
pizza. I'm lactose intolerant.
I only eat cheese pizza. How about you? What do you like on your pizza?
I love cheese pizza.
Um, so that was. I'm thoroughly creeped out now, trying to drink this coffee. This is cool. This is cool. It's like a walking podcast. I'm walking while talking. I've gotten. You didn't even know this. I just ate a sandwich.
This
I'm
is so
drinking an
boring.
iced latte now. I'm
I'm
on the move. I'm double tasking. I feel like I'm juggling conspiratorial stuff and getting my girlfriend yogurt. It's nice. Um,
I haven't cried for
so
years, but I'm close to tears from boredom.
tears for fears, bro.
That's a good song.
Um, I thought it was a band. I don't know, but John. So transparency, WikiLeaks. Is it a good thing going into the future? Let's talk future here. Um, what do you think about the future of WikiLeaks? What do you think about the future of transparency? I mean, we got CCTVs everywhere. We're kind of in this 1984 state, it seems. Do you feel optimistic about the future of transparency? What do you think?
We're gonna we're gonna be living in a world where uh,
How far out are you thinking? Like 50 years, 100 years?
yeah, 50 years. I mean, 30 years. There's gonna be civil war. 50 years. We're gonna have these megapolis cities with skyscrapers that dwarf anything that we have now, surrounded by these walls, and
It's like
those are going to be
Metropolis
for
style.
everyone who accepts the mark of the beast. And outside are going to be the squalid, um, robed figures swimming in lakes full of hypodermic needles and condom wrappers, living in corrugated tin shacks, eating crickets. So, they won't if transparency won't be a problem then because all they're going to see are lice-ridden bodies as we consider eating our own children to stay alive. So, um, that will be the bright side. Will be transparency won't
That's
matter.
something to look forward to. That's really enlightening. Um,
But
it sounds utopian. It sounds definitely like you're a Bernie Sanders supporter. Um,
it makes sense. If we just tax everyone at 90%, then everyone has the same amount of money.
yeah, I can see it.
um, and that will fix it all. But in the short term, like I'm really pessimistic. I think that no one can fight the tech companies. Um, they have got so much money, and they're only going to get more.
Well, wait. Let me say something because I'm gonna forget if I don't. So recently, um, I've used for years and years being a teacher. I've used a calendar that I write in. So I have like a personal diary with a calendar on one side and my notes on the other, and that's been how I've kept up with my life since basically college. But recently, I'd say 2 months ago, maybe three, I got Google Calendar. Okay. And
Oh,
I hesitantly got into it and I just wanted to streamline my life. So I got the app on my phone, I got the iOS version, and then I also got it for my Mac, my laptop. And it has been amazing experience. And I now don't use my paper diary. And it has streamlined my life. You can make multiple color coded calendars, whatever. I'll give you a really scary example though. So I recently did a bunch of traveling, and when I flew, or I'm sorry, when I bought my flights, as soon as I bought it, it went directly into my calendar without even asking me. So the next hour after I purchased a flight off of skyscanner.com, I checked my calendar and I was going to add it in there, and it was already done for me. The time, the date, the confirmation code, everything. And so it already knew that I was doing that. And so that scared me to death. And it just made me wonder, like, what else is it importing? Like, it automatically imported all my Facebook birthdays of all my friends. It automatically imported all of my events from Facebook without even asking me. And so somehow Google knew I didn't even know Google had access to my Facebook information, or let alone my email. But I guess Gmail, I guess it's all connected at the end of the day. But I told this to Matthew. Matthew's a friend of ours, and Matthew told me that I'm adding to the end of the world. So, so I don't know. It falls in line with what you're saying. I think these tech companies are taking over, and I think transparency is becoming less of an option.
Well,
I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
The world's gonna end. I mean, you're gonna die.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. 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 I've cut myself open to see if I'm a robot. I'm definitely not.
You're a really good robot, but you're gonna die. We're all gonna die. The thing is, like, so I mean, it's not that big a deal. Like, you know, you've got a really convenient application, but you know, and like if you think about it, they're like Google's now going to be, just because they're like a giant corporation with, you know, fingers and all kinds, especially in data collection. Now they're going to know like the rhythm of your life. You know, they'll know where you are. You know that you're going to be at a birthday party or so, and you're going to be shopping in these ways. And then along down the lines, when we all have self-driving cars, you know, and as long as you don't do anything wrong, that they're not just going to like lock down your car and drive you immediately to the concentration camps. Just do what they tell you to do, and things will be really convenient for you. I mean, it's not slavery. It's not, I mean, you're going to make money. You're going to have, you know, everything that you need. Like slaves have like me on the outside, because I can't take the mark of the beast, but I'll be the slave, right? I'll be the one outside the city eating crickets, but you won't be a slave. You'll be in the city, and you'll know exactly when you need to go to your assembly line job and to apply paint directly into the lines, and it'll be better than when you try to make improvisational art, you know, because they'll have figured out the exact right way for you to paint and for you to teach your students how to paint. So it's all, that's what you sign up with your calendar. So, I mean, I won't feel bad. I won't feel bad. I won't be upset that I'll be eating dirt while you're inside the cities of
What is it? It's like a proletariat and bourgeoisie or some shit.
something like that.
Something like that. Can I tell you a funny cap to the story after you just made that statement? Guess who now has Google Calendars?
Who's got it?
Matthew. Yeah, we went on this long walk on the beach on one of the islands here in Thailand, and we were walking. And he's like, "All right, man, I figured now would be a good time. I know you're gonna give me shit for this." And it took him like 5 minutes to actually tell me. But when he did, he said, "You know what? I tried it, and Google Calendars is awesome." And I said, welcome to the new world order. While John's outside eating crickets, we're gonna be
lucky. If I'm lucky to get crickets,
right. Right.
I'll probably just have to have some like maggots. 9 out of 10 meals. I mean, this is just further proof that only Christians are gonna not accept. Google Chrome literally is a 666 for their symbol. So I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Wait, sorry, John. What did you say is their symbol?
Yeah, the Google Chrome. You have it on your phone. It's 666. It's the mark of the beast.
It is.
Yeah, it is. So it's just a coincidence.
It's so useful.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I use Opera.
Oh,
and that's just a circle.
This transparency topic is phenomenal. I think it is really important in this generation. I like how the conversations flowed from Julian Assange to Trump to now talking about Google Chrome and Opera, because I think all of that is part of our generation. I don't know. Someone told me, they said, "Yo, if you're not doing anything wrong, don't worry about anything."
Yeah,
But,
I mean, just do everything they tell you to do, and when they're gonna probably tell you to do like good things anyway, you know. Probably, I mean, like, what's the best government in the world right now?
oh, definitely, definitely democracy.
No, like specifically, what country has the best government in the world right now?
In my opinion, I'd have to be the United States of America. It,
Okay,
it would it would have to be. I think we've gotten as close as you can possibly get to
okay,
having a healthy government.
yeah. So, like, just imagine that you live in a city where the United States of American government gets to tell you everything that you have to do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, and that would be perfect, you know?
Oh,
You
like
wouldn't
New York
ever
City.
you wouldn't ever be upset. Yeah, just like New York City. You wouldn't ever be forced to do anything unethical. Like shoot journalists who are covering your war. That would never that's like going to be in the past because the big tech giants, they've evolved, like because they have money, because they're going to be able to afford better education for themselves. They can already, and their kids will be even smarter, and they're going to figure out ways to make themselves smarter. So eventually the easiest thing to do will just to like we won't we won't call it a caste system. It won't be a caste system, but it'll be a caste system. I mean, that's just the
We
best way to
won't
do
call
it.
it as such, but we'll all know what it really is.
You know, we'll just say like grade A, grade B, grade C. We're kind of used to that already. We'll just be like, oh, you have your grade B, so you're gonna get to teach art.
It's actually kind of like money already kind of establishes class in America. Anyway, I remember I went to Disney World one time, and I went with a rich friend, and he had these bands where you could skip the line. I remember it was like a really hot July day, and there were all these people that had been waiting for the Splash Mountain for hours. Maybe 2 or 3 hours out in the sun, and then we just had these bands, and we zipped right past these people, and they all looked at us like we were, the devil's work.
Yeah,
Um, but
I
then
would.
I said to my friend, I was like, dude, I feel really bad. And he said, why? My parents got money, let's just be
Yeah,
happy. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I would actually, if I could, some people are gonna want to spit on the lower classes, and if it gets me an advantage, I would let them spit. Like, if you let one of those rich kids spit on you, you should get to go forward in the line. You should get to cut one ahead for everyone that spits on you. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
did you watch Black Mirror, John?
I watched 1.5 episodes of Black Mirror.
Did
I
you watch
watched
the
the
rating episode?
No, I watched the
It's
one with
it's in
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, in essence, it's basically a take on the Chinese system they're trying to create. You know
Mm,
about that, where you have like a number basically,
yeah,
and if you do something wrong, you get knocked down.
I
Like
did
in
see.
this episode, like she's trying to order a cab, and she doesn't have a high enough number. So the guys pull up and they use phones obviously, but a little bit more futuristic, and they look at the phone and they're like, oh, I don't remember the number system, but they're like, oh, you're a 6 out of 10. I'm not picking you up. It's but that doesn't seem too far off, does it? Doesn't it seem kind of realistic? Do I sound crazy? Am I insane? I don't know. I think we're kind of getting there. At least in America, it'd be hard to implement these systems in places like, for example, India, where the poverty is. I mean, comparatively to America, it seems like the poverty is pretty high. It'd be really hard to implement, a strict system like that,
I don't
especially
know.
with technology. But
I don't know. Like in America, where we literally have a president who was twittered into office. I don't know.
yeah, Twitter.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, we don't have any kind of, thank God, like China, we don't have any kind of ranking system. I'm on my Facebook, by the way. You haven't liked my last several posts. I think
Oh my God! Please don't knock my rating down.
I'm gonna
I won't
unlike
be able to order a cab.
some things from you. So,
Well, John, transparency is alive and well.
speaking of which, like, I can see your face right now. I can see your body.
How many fingers am I holding up?
No, I mean like on your Facebook. I can see your
Oh! I thought you
backside.
could see like a CCT camera of me. I was giving you the middle finger. I was being obscene, trying to see if someone would arrest me.
Just don't do it.
You know what Twitch is? Do you know what Twitch is?
Oh, I've heard it. Isn't that like a video game streaming shish kebab? Shish kebab? I'm using shish kebab as like a catch-all now.
I like that though. I don't know the term for it in the English language, but it seems like you're a creative. You'd be like a good creative English writer, I think. But basically, Twitch, yeah, it's just like a video game streaming service. I've heard of these people. I don't know if you call it doxed or what, but if people rile against someone and don't like them, they can sit there and play video games, and someone will call a SWAT. I think it's called swatted or something. And they call the SWAT team, and the SWAT team literally raids in their room so everyone can see it. And they just do it for fun. They just call the cops and say, "Hey, XYZ gamer man 17 has a bomb in his room," and they just do it
yeah.
just to see what happens.
Those are messed up. Those are messed up, man. I remember seeing one of those videos, and like the look on the guy's face was like, "Oh man, I know what's happening." Oh, it's like
No, I think I've seen that one where like he knows what's about to happen.
yeah.
He's like, "Oh shit, here we
He
go."
just kind of rolls his eyes almost, and puts his hands behind his head.
Hey, at one point at the school that you teach at, and the school that I currently teach at, they were thinking about putting cameras in the school in the classrooms. Do you remember this? Were you here for that?
I think they mentioned it, but
Yeah.
we burned down Yvonne's office or whatever.
Yeah, you remember that? We had like we threw like TNT under her table and blew it sky high. That was a crazy night.
Yeah.
What do we call it? The night of blood and glass? I think something like that.
What name was taken, and we ended up calling it something else.
The night of pad thai and fire.
Yeah,
right.
I think that was it.
Well, that night it was interesting because, we don't have cameras in our class now. We successfully evaded the Big Brother watching us.
They've got your fingerprints, though.
They do. They have our fingerprints for when we scan in and out of work. They have actually, and the government here has like so much information of mine as well. They got my name, my birthday. Yeah, stealing my identity would be pretty easy, actually.
I've had my identity stolen.
By who? A girlfriend?
Probably.
Well, this is probably like a perfect time to cap this thing. It's been, let's see. So we've been talking for 45 minutes.
17 seconds.
8. Yeah. This is gold, John. I think this freeform is just where it's at. It feels natural. It feels good. I feel like quizzing you on a lot of your I think you know way more than I do about this kind of stuff. But my interest is super high on it. So it adds for an interesting conversation. I definitely don't know as much as you, but I'd like to know more. And I think that's where this where this can all spawn and start from. I think it'd be a fun project.
But it's kind of like, what do I get out of it, you know?
You get to share the knowledge that you find. You know?
That's like saying, "Hey, give me $10," and it's like, why? It's like because you get to share $10 with me.
It's kind of like you have a child, right? Like you have a 7-year-old boy, okay? But see, I'm part of the Pizzagate community, and it's like we want your 7-year-old boy, and you're like, well, what do I get out of it? And then I'm just like, John, it's for a bigger cause. You know, it's for the Pizzagate community as a whole.
I'm all for communities. I mean, it's all about community. Like, if you want to do something for a community, I'll help. If you want to get really mad, by the way, look up No Map.
What the hell is No Map?
You look it up, we can talk about it.
Okay. Okay. I have a feeling that's going to be your punchline throughout this whole project. Look it up.
Look it up.
Just look it up, you jerk.
Eddie Bravo has that one taken. Do you know what Eddie Bravo is?
I love Eddie Bravo. He had such a spice to that Joe Rogan show.
Honestly, like the most honest intellectual I've ever seen. He's very logical.
I don't know. I mean,
very.
I think a lot of what he says is out there, and I think he gets a little animated about things. His
always
flat Earth
articulate.
stuff. He's certainly articulate. He's also, I think he's like a jujitsu like master.
He's a goon. He sounds like he's huffing glue.
I think I don't know if it's. I mean, I have tattoos too. I don't know if it's his appearance or what, but whenever I look at him talking, when he gets really animated, especially when it's him and Alex Jones, the exchange between them is so comical that I can't take any of it seriously, and I don't digest any of the information. I'm just sitting there laughing at them being two interesting human beings.
I'm laughing at that. Like,
let's get him on the show.
I'm gonna tweet him right now. Alex Jones or Eddie Bravo?
Oh, you want to get Alex Jones? Fuck yeah! If you want to get Alex Jones and Eddie Bravo on the same show, I mean, now we're talking.
I don't even know how to contact
do we set that
Alex
up?
Jones.
We just call him up. We're two guys. We live in completely different countries.
I'm gonna send him a dude.
John, is it possible to Skype a phone call with more than two people?
I don't know. Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right, I just
so
tweeted
we'll get like John Kerry on next week.
Everyone else listening, Eddie Bravo will be on our next podcast. Who else do you want? Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
I'm working on Bernie Sanders.
On my podcast, Pizza Boy.
The owner of Cosmic Pizza.
James Alefontis.
Oh, that is his name. That's right.
Well, it means I love children.
I just love the artwork. There. John, my girlfriend's here. I gotta go. It's the perfect time to end it. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I will message you soon. I love you.
All right. Okay.
Pizzagate.
That's fine.
Bye, John.
Pizzagate for life.